Hari Om. Welcome to this new session of Learn Ayurveda in Baby Steps. Today is session number 6, and we are going to talk about the three functional humors or the doshas and the prakritis, the physical or the body constitution of an individual or of a living being. So Prakriti literally means nature, and in this discussion, Prakriti means the innate constitution that a conscious being is born with. So for example, for human being, since the time of the inception of sperm and the egg, the Prakriti of an individual is fixed until the last breath. It does not change. So it does not mean whether a Prakriti is good or other Prakritis are bad or something like that. Prakriti is one's individual nature based on their physical characteristics, functional characteristics, tendencies and affinities, right? And if we are aware of our own Prakritis, we would just be able to function and navigate through this world in our daily lives better. Okay, so Prakriti as such is the innate constitution or the physical innate constitution that an individual is born with. Now, in the last session, we discussed about the three functional energies, the Vata, Pitta and Kapha. The kinetic energy Vata, the thermal energy Pitta and the potential energy of Kapha. Now, today I will discuss about different kind of constitution, body constitutions that an individual can have. One individual, of course, will have only one type of this Prakriti or constitution. Now, there are 7 different types of Prakriti, among which one person would have one of them. So, what are those? The first 3 you can think of as where one of these 3 functional energies or humors is active or predominant, which is either Vata is dominant or the Pitta energy is dominant or the Kapha energy is dominant. Now, we should understand that we all have all 3 doshas present in our body. It's just the predominance or the dominance of one or more of these functional energies that determine our nature, Prakriti. So, for example, the Vata individual will have the dominance of the wind energy, the Vata energy, right? The kinetic energy, they will have a dominance of that. The individuals with Pitta Prakriti, they will have a dominance of thermal energy, right, or the fire energy in them. And the people who have Prakriti of Kapha energy, who have Kapha Prakriti, they will have a dominance of the Kapha dosha, okay, or the potential energy. Now, these are the first 3 types. Then the second set of 3 types are a combination of 2 doshas or a dominance of 2 doshas out of the 3. For example, it can be Vata and Pitta together, it can be Pitta and Kapha, or it can be Vata and Kapha. So these are the 3 dual Prakritis. And the last one, but not the least, is where all the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, are equally present, equally dominant. Now, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, or if you ask an Ayurvedic physician, doctor, however long they have practiced, you might hear this, that they would say most often they would encounter people with 2 doshas dominant as the most prevalent one, okay, as the most prevalent one. For example, when a patient comes in, they will either be of Vata-Pitta or Pitta-Kapha or Vāta-Kapha. So one of these 3 dual Prakritis, that will be the most prevalent. Next would be the one dosha prevalent, either totally Vata, means the Vata energy is the most dominant, or Pitta or Kapha, like that. And the rarest of all is the tridoshic, which is all 3 doshas are equally present. It's very rare to have an individual with that kind of Prakriti. Now, again, I want to remind all of us that Prakriti, what does it What does it mean? It means basically an individual's physical characteristics, or you can think of anatomical characteristics, physical characteristics, functional characteristics, you can think of physiological characteristics, right? How the different systems within the body work. Then tendencies, right? Tendencies, how that person behaves on a day-to-day basis in different circumstances. And the fourth one is affinities. What are the things that that individual is attracted to naturally, right? So only these four. And then I want to also mention that there are different kinds of Prakriti, and later on we will learn about the different qualities of this Prakriti in the upcoming sessions. No Prakriti is better than the other as a general statement. There is no Prakriti that is better than the other. It's just that different Prakritis have their pros and cons. If we know, if we are aware, educated about our own Prakriti and what do they represent, what do they mean for us, then we will just be able to navigate through our lives a little bit more smoother, a lot smoother actually. So the knowledge of the Prakriti, our own Prakriti, would help us lead this life in a much more harmonious way, in a much more peaceful fashion. So this was the topic for today, the three doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, and what types of Prakriti we would encounter in our day-to-day lives. So 7 Prakritis we talked about, either one dosha dominant or 2 doshas dominant out of the 3, or the 3 doshas equally present in an individual. With that, I want to conclude this session. In the subsequent sessions, we would learn about the qualities of these different Prakriti, which will associate with the qualities of the elements that they are made up of, right? And if you remember, in one of the sessions, we talked about the 20 qualities coming in opposite pairs, coming in opposites, right, in 10 pairs. So we will take those qualities and we will match up with the elements that a Prakriti is constituted of, a nature is constituted of, right? So stay tuned for those information on this learning Ayurveda in baby steps. Thank you for joining today and hope to see you in the next session. Hari Om. Take care.